Okay, we're going to do real quick. I'm just going to show you live how I put together a cash flow summary using the Excel spreadsheet that we have, some information from the MLS, and a rent number that we need for our income assumption from our property manager that Joey gave me. So we're doing this for a listing that Amy Platten has, which is 10415 Belfry Circle. We did an open house on it today, and we're going to add to the MLS a cash flow summary, and then we're going to make a YouTube video that walks an investor through the cash flows on that property. There's basically 4 programs that we're going to need, and I'll talk more about those in our training. But there is a video screen capture program that we're going to use, that I'm actually using to record this right now, that we'll use to record the actual presentation or the overview of the cash flow numbers, and then the Excel spreadsheet. So you just basically need Excel, and you need this video capture program. So this is the Excel spreadsheet. I'm just going to basically fill in these gray fields that you have on the sheet here, and you have 4 buckets of information on the left that you need to pull from either the property manager's info or assumption on the income. You also have the MLS numbers and info on the MLS about the property. And then we also have some property management assumptions that we'll put in here too. And the goal here is for us to translate all those inputs about the home price, the income, the expenses, the debt assumptions, the loan assumptions that we're going to have. It will translate all those inputs, which are these gray fields on the far left here, into a return on the investor's cash. And that cash may be the whole purchase price if they're purchasing the property without financing, or it is just their down payment on their loan and any closing costs. So we'll ultimately translate all the costs involved on an annual basis into a return on their money. So this sheet was actually done for another agent before. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to update this live and just show you how quickly we can do this. So first thing, I'm just going to get rid of this picture. I pulled up the property on the MLS. Here's the house. So I'm just going to snag this picture real quick. And nothing flashy. This is a program called Snagit, by the way. Pretty inexpensive program. I'm just going to take that and bring it over to my sheet, put it up here. And now we have something that the viewer can see about the house. Now just align it right there. Okay, so that's the house. Now let's update the address. So 10415 Belfry Circle. That's Orlando, Florida 32832. And this particular property, let me make sure I got that right. 3-bedroom, 2 full baths, 2-car garage, and it's built 2010 and it's 1,405 square feet. So let's put in here, we'll just use some of that. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage, 1,405 square feet, built in 2010. So that's the basic information, and now we're going to go to the purchase price, which is $299, and ultimately we're going to see if this thing is going to cash flow positive or if it's going to cost somebody money to own this. The closing costs on it, I'm just going to put in $3,000 because I'm assuming that they're going to be financing it, maybe a little bit more or less than that depending on the loan. And of course it'll be a lot less than that if they're just paying cash for it, but I'm assuming financing. The next input is the income on the property. So I was told it's going to be between $1,750 and $1,850 from property management. And by the way, this house needs 0 rehab. So as far as the cash out assumptions here, we don't have to put anything in there. The income on the property is going to be $1,800 per month. We're going to assume a 3% vacancy assumption. So you're not getting 3% of the total potential rent over the course of the year because you're obviously not renting it every day of the year. The expenses will assume an 8% management fee. You want to check with Fusilier Management Group to see what that is. The placement fee is an expense the first year or any year that they're putting a new tenant in there because the management company is keeping 1 month of that rent or 100% of the first month rent on that lease. And the tax rate, let's see, 1.36% is what I used in the last one because that was a tax of $4,000. Well, on the other house, it was about 1.36%, not $4,000. So let's go over here and see what the taxes are on this house. We have 2558, so let's come in here and use a number that's close to that. 1.1, 1.0, 0.9. So 0.58, so let's just use 1% just to make it easy. So it's $29.90 is what I get on the property tax, and it's actually $25.58. So we'll be conservative there and use a little bit higher number. If the numbers come in a little bit too high, we can always come back and adjust that. But I'm just using a 1% tax rate. And by the way, our investors, if you use this conservative assumptions here from income, expenses, debt, all that kind of stuff, it just makes you look that much better. It gives you a little bit more credibility and look a lot less like a salesperson. So we want to kind of peg these, and if they're surprised with better numbers, then that makes us look even better. Estimated insurance on a property like that, I'm just going to roundabout guess that that's going to be about let's give it about $2,000 a year. It may be a little bit less or more than that, but we're just going to use round numbers. The HOA fee for that property is going to be, there is, let's see here. Restrictions. 309 per month, so we'll add that in here because it is calculated on a monthly basis. It says monthly rate, and then we have the estimated maintenance costs. I'll just put 3% of the rents. The potential rent that we would collect is actually we would earmark for maintenance reserves for that investor because they have to keep something for maintenance. And then on the debt assumptions, we'll assume that they have 1 to 4 loans. If they have more than 4 loans out there, then they're going to have a 25% down payment usually. So we use a 20% down payment, a 30-year fixed rate. The interest rate is going to be a little bit higher on an investment loan, so we'll just use 4% right there. And the sheet will basically do the rest. We don't really have to spend too much time on the taxes over here because we're not tax experts, so let's not expound on that too much. But you'll hear me talk about it on the actual video. But I will put a disclaimer out there that you want to check with your tax pro. So we put our inputs in there, the money out of pocket, we put our income potential, we put our expense assumptions here, and we put our debt info here, and it does everything else. So quite simply, this section right here breaks down what the returns are if you paid cash for it. If you just beeline right over here to this black section, it tells you that you're making on a total cash investment of about $302,000. That's your closing cost and your purchase price, because this house does not need rehab. It's mint shape. It looks like a model and shows like a new home. So it's literally tenant ready, which is something I will mention on the summary presentation for the investor, because that's important to them. So on $302,000 out of pocket, if they pay cash, after all their annual expenses of $12,800 subtracted from their potential rent on this, then they're going to be netting about $8,000 on their money, or about 2.5 to 3% on their cash every year. So the bottom line is that if they believe in the Medical City area, in the Lake Nona area, and they like the Eagle Creek subdivision and are optimistic about the growth, then having their money parked in a property with a tenant covering their carrying costs while the area grows is a pretty compelling proposition for an investor. And that breaks down to $677 of cash flow per month. So that is the cash returns. Now, if they get financing, the only difference when you calculate the financing is when you are calculating the annual expenses of $12,800, you have to add to that now their debt, their monthly payments, which is about $1,142 a month of principal and interest. So if you add that on an annual basis, that's about $13,700 a year to their annual expenses, making about $26,000 total. Then they're actually with debt at a negative $464 negative cash flow per month. So this works for an investor who is going to pay cash for it and just wants to park their money in the Medical City area, in a golf course community, in a Class A project with A-rated schools, and just sit on it for a while. And if they get it with cash, or I'm sorry, with financing, then there'll be a negative cash flow situation. So to the tune of negative $464 per month. So something to keep in mind there, because they are only making $677 a month before, and if you get financing, it bolsters that, adds another $1,142 a month in expenses. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, what's interesting is if they do get financing on it, they may see a negative 8.9% return on their cash, just on the cash flow of the property. But remember, you make money 4 different ways from an investment property. Very important. I'm just going to type them in right here. You have your cash flow on the property. You have your tax benefits, which is your interest write-off and depreciation on the property. You don't have to be a tax expert to know this. Just know that they get tax benefits. You have the tenant paying down the loan. So even if the property doesn't go up 1 penny in a given year or over a certain amount of years, you still are building equity in the property because the tenant's rent payments are paying it down for you. And then lastly, you have the appreciation on the property. So if we just say, hey, you know what, we're not going to guess on appreciation. Let's say that the property value stays flat. We're just going to have cash flow on the property. In this case, with debt, it's a negative number. We're going to have some tax benefits, and we have the tenant paying down a loan for us. You are actually netting with financing a 9% return on your cash, which is better than most paper investments, if not any paper investment that I know of, where you have a fund manager involved or something like that. So this could be a lot better investment for somebody, especially for somebody in a high tax bracket, which would be the case with a lot of your high income W-2 employees that are looking for some write-offs, or a business owner out there that's in a high tax bracket. And this is assuming a 33% tax rate, not one of the higher tax rates that you'll see on here, like 40%. So this is some conservative assumptions here. So either way you look at it, you're actually at your net effect on this investment, whether you get financing or you pay cash, is going to be a positive cash flow. A positive yield when everything is said and done after tax. So anyway, that is just a quick summary on how quickly this was put together. What I'm going to do now is I'll delete these, and I am going to clean this up. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save this file, save as a PDF file. Whoops, sorry, I need to print that. So I'm going to print it, save it as a PDF, and I will name it, I'll give it the name and the address, 10415 Belfry Circle, cash flow summary. And I use PDF as the extension. Okay, so now it's saved as a PDF. Let's pull that PDF up, just see what it looks like real quick. And there's our PDF file, nice and clean looking. Residential cash flow, there's our address, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, 2 car garage, 1,400 square foot. And it shows our numbers right here. Now, an investor with this alone, if it was attached to the MLS listing, would be a little bit confused or maybe not know how to read it. So we're going to record a quick YouTube video that I will do right now and upload to YouTube, and then we'll attach that link to the MLS sheet, so that not only do they have the PDF file attachment of this cash flow summary, but they also have a narration of this sheet, so that they're not having to play guesswork or rely on their agent, their buyer's agent, to have to break that down for them. So anyway, that's how we create one of these very quickly. All you need, essentially, on your inputs is the info off the MLS sheet. That's number one. You need the rent number, a conservative rent number from your property manager. Don't ever use the high end. Use kind of like in the middle of the range they give you. And then you need the rehab cost from a contractor. If you have those 3 inputs, then you can run with this Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to be an expert at math. It will do the work for you. All you have to do is beeline to these shaded areas. What's my return on my cash purchase? What's the return if we get financing? And what's the money out of pocket? And then what is the return after tax if I'm showing a negative number up here, or if tax benefit is very important to me as a buyer.